Crescent City Steakhouse, a true neighborhood restaurant operated by the Vojkovic family since 1934, is the oldest steakhouse in the city of New Orleans. Serving only hand-cut, prime-aged, corn-fed beef for over 80 years, Crescent City Steakhouse has become a dining destination for both die-hard locals and adventurous travelers who seek traditional, timeless New Orleans cuisine. Crescent City Steakhouse, 1001 North Broad, on the corner of St. Philip, in the heart of New Orleans.
Fall in love with autumn with PJ's new seasonal lattes. Our pumpkin latte brings you all the flavors of a pumpkin pie with hints of cinnamon and nutmeg, like your favorite holiday dessert in a cup. And our s'mores latte with flavors of toasted marshmallows, warm milk chocolate, and graham cracker cinnamon is sure to bring back campfire memories. The PJ's Fall Seasonal Lattes, available at your local PJ's only for a limited time.
So here's the bottom line. Well, it's funny that you say that. Let me tell you. Good evening, and welcome to Primetime Sports. Hey, I'm your host, Scott Alexander, and I am one happy camper because this week, well, we mentioned it last week, coming up this week is one of the best weeks of the year here in New Orleans, and the weather has been spectacular, and it's going to continue to be that way because look at all we got going on. The Jazz Fest, that's right, the New Orleans Jazz Heritage Festival. So that's going to be starting on Friday. It's going to go 2 weekends, and you know the great lineup of music and the great food and the weather. It's going to be spectacular. But that's not all. The Zurich Classic. For once, they're saying the weather should be great throughout the weekend. It gets underway on Thursday with the top golfers in the world. You know, they have that two-man format where they play teams, and that was such a success last season. They're doing walk-up music this year, too. But you have the great players. How about the Baton Rouge native who won the Masters? That's right. Patrick Reed, he's going to be there. Jordan Spieth, who many say is the best player in the world. Bubba Watson, Jason Day, and of course the two Justins, Justin Thomas, who seems to be winning everything, and Justin Rose as well. Hey, that's not it on Thursday. Look at the NFL draft. That's like a kid in a candy store. Kids on Christmas Day waiting for the presents. That starts Thursday night. The Saints, well, they had such a great draft last year. They're hoping to duplicate that. They're looking for an edge rusher to go opposite of our guy, Cam Jordan, who is an all-pro. Well, and if he's still available, we're hearing that it could be Harold Landry from Boston College. This guy's a stud. Hopefully he will not be gone by 27, but if not, they might do some trading down. Who knows? There's a bevy of tight ends this season that the Saints could probably use. We talked about him last week with Mike Detillier. Dallas Goedert from South Dakota State. How about Mark Andrews from Oklahoma? Mike Gesicki from Penn State, Hayden Hurst from South Carolina. They would all be nice additions in the black and gold. And speaking of the draft, we start a new tradition right here on Primetime Sports where we started bringing one LSU and one Tulane player on the week he's being drafted. Last year, well, it was the Tigers' 2016 MVP, Duke Riley, who went in the third round to the Atlanta Falcons. And then Tanzel Smart from Tulane, who ended up starting several games for the surprising Los Angeles Rams. Well, this year, we've got two-time All-SEC offensive lineman Will Clapp. That's right, Will Clapp's going to join us. He has been a force at LSU and also one of Tulane's most celebrated defensive backs in their history. His name is Parry Nickerson. He's second in career interceptions, third in pass breakups, and Parry was also selected as second-team All-American by Sports Illustrated. And now on to my favorite development of the week. That's right. I waited 3 minutes to tell you about the New Orleans Pelicans. They're winners of 9 straight games, and they're the only team that swept in the first round, and they didn't just beat the Blazers. They absolutely, completely destroyed them. Hey, the national media said they had no chance before the series started. Remember that? ESPN.com, right there, you see it. 22 experts all picked the Blazers. 22 out of 22. Unbelievable. But yesterday they were all singing a different tune on ESPN. I watched it all day, from First Take to Highly Questionable to Sports Nation and Pardon the Interruption. Every last one of them heaped praise on the Pels this time, and they even have a shot of taking out Golden State in round 2. That sounds crazy, right? But why not? They all said they have a chance after watching them play Portland. AD is playing like a monster right now, the best player on the planet at the moment. I mean, he's completely dominating everyone and everything on the court. He averaged 33 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 blocks in the series. How about Rajon Rondo? Living up to his nickname, Playoff Rondo, a lot. He's almost averaging a triple-double right now. He had 53 assists in the 4 games. That's the second most in NBA history in a 4-game series. Only the great Magic Johnson has more. That's saying something. Hey, by the way, he also had 12 points and 8 rebounds, too. Niko Mirotic, though, he's been the consistent long-range bomber the Pels have been looking for a while. He had a great 30-point performance in Game 3 on Saturday. On Thursday, excuse me. And the Pels are now 9-0 since he shaved that Old Testament beard. So keep it shaved, Nico. And I haven't even mentioned my series MVP, Jrue Holiday, who is now playing like the best two-way guard in the NBA. His lockdown D on Damian Lillard is nothing short of spectacular. Hey, the top NBA scorer at 27 points. He was 4th in the league at 27 points a game. Jrue didn't even let him get to 21 time. And oh, by the way, his offense was even better. He averaged 28 points, 7 assists, and 4 rebounds, and it was one of the keys. And I could talk all day about the Pels because I'll save it, though, because I have my man Dino Hanson coming on, and we're going to talk about that. But how about this Cleveland-Indiana series? This has been the most entertaining one to me so far, and it has everything to do with watching Lance Stephenson and his antics against LeBron James. Hey, remember this when Lance was blowing in LeBron's ear several years back when LBJ was with the Heat? Well, Lance is up to his old tricks again. It's driving LeBron crazy, and I love it, but certainly been fun to watch. And how about our boy, triple-double machine, Ben Simmons, the former LSU star, has become one of the NBA's featured players. The Sixers are up 3-1 in this series. Hey, we'll talk about more of the series next week, but we have a great show for you today, right here. Stay tuned on Primetime Sports. It's going to be an extravaganza.
She had to go simply because, and I'll let her go like she never was. She had to go because she didn't know who Scott Alexander was.
Welcome back to Primetime Sports, and it's always a good day when you hear Fred LeBlanc from Cowboy Mouth, who I'm sure is playing at the Jazz Fest this weekend or next, so get on out there and have some fun. Remember we talked about basketball in the Open, and I was so fired up talking about the Pelicans and their 4-game sweep, their 9-game winning streak, which, by the way, matches their second longest winning streak of all time, which they set earlier this season. So what an incredible run it's been for Alvin Gentry and his players. And for me, there's no better person to talk about it than my man right here, Dino Hanson is back in the house.
Man,
former Oregon star, former St. Aug, and a little bit overseas.
Yes, sir.
And here he is, been around the Pels insider for ESPN.com. Well, not .com, but the ESPN radio here in New Orleans with Gus Cattingill and those guys. So how you been?
Everything is fantastic. How could you not be fantastic after the sweep of the Portland Trail Blazers in that Game 4 where they were so frustrated to the point that it showed you the poise of our New Orleans Pelicans and how much they have grown and the impact that Rajon Rondo has had on this team. And you hear Jrue, you hear AD specifically, who is the face of the franchise, talk about how much they listen to who? Doe. And Jrue's impact. Doe. You've seen Jrue the past few years, Scotty, eh? Yeah. How he progressed as the season has gone on. Well, now we got mad Jrue Holiday, and boy, let me tell you, he is on a tear.
It's unbelievable. No, I remember each of the last few years, he had some injury problems, so he sat out a lot of the early parts of the season. Mm-hmm. And then I remember we had a stat that he had, I think it was last January, he was averaging 24, 9, and 8. Mm-hmm. And that was, once he gets 29 minutes a game. Well, he's showing it this year. Oh. Not only has he done that, he's exceeded it. He's averaging 28 points a game in the playoffs. He's averaging 7 rebounds, 4 assists, but the defense has been the main thing too. And you're chipping in 28 points, and you're also the best defensive guard right now in the NBA? That's unbelievable.
He gets into people's personal space. Scotty, you played the game.
Sure.
what do perimeter players hate the most?
They hate
somebody who is in their space.
Yeah, just get away from me.
Yeah, somebody who is knocking them off their path.
Disrupting them, right.
Disrupting their normal rhythm. That's why C.J. McCollum and Dame Lillard had the toughest time in the world. Did a great job defensively. So, although speaking a little bit ahead, it's going to be interesting to see both Klay Thompson and Jrue Holiday, who are great offensive scorers, but are phenomenal defenders on the perimeter.
Now, how do you match up? Let's just say when Curry comes back, how do you match up right there? That's interesting to me. And we're getting ahead of ourselves, but the Warriors are going to win this series.
Right.
Because you got Klay Thompson and Curry. I mean, that's obviously the most lethal guard combination, maybe in history if you're talking about tandems. I mean, seriously, what they can do. Who plays against who, and do you play, say Jrue on one guy the whole time, or do you switch him up? How does it work?
I think it's going to be a nightmare matchup for Golden State, simply because I think our guard play, we have the same length. For instance, there'll be times where I could see Jrue playing on Steph. I could see Rajon playing on Klay just to disrupt them and give them a different look every single time down the floor. The key cog in this wheel is going to be, what do we do with Kevin Durant, okay? The reason why I say that is because we know he is that X factor. When you look at a Jrue and a Rajon, a Steph, and a Klay, they're almost going to kind of cancel each other out. That being said, the reason why KD is huge for that basketball team, sometimes we'll put Nikola on him to give him that length to put his hand in his face. Other times, we'll have Solomon Hill. Let's not forget, Solomon was brought here to be a fantastic defender.
And he's still got that.
And he still has that.
Lord knows, not the offense, but go ahead.
But he improved his offensive shooting woes last season as well prior to him getting hurt.
I'm talking about this year when he's come back. He's not in shape yet.
Yeah, he's not there yet.
Right.
Okay? Darius Miller also. So you're going to give Kevin various different looks. The reason why you can't keep Nikola on KD, especially when KD is on an island, he doesn't have the foot speed to keep up with the KD.
And the same goes with AD, if you're wondering out there, because he's about the same height. They're about the same height. But KD, if AD comes out on him, he's going to slide right by AD. He's a different type of 7 foot. He's the slender man.
Yeah.
And AD is a genuine big man. So they're different 7 type footers. Speaking of the defense, one more thing on Jrue Holiday, because I thought this was spectacular. Damian Lillard torched the Pelicans for 41 that last regular season game they played. And it was a thriller game, and it was great. He had 19 in the fourth quarter. You know, his most points in this series is 19. That's it. He didn't even get to 20 once. You're talking about the 4th leading scorer in the NBA at 26.9 points a game and didn't even get to 19 once. That is a true testament of Jrue Holiday's prowess on the defensive side.
And it's a true testament to how much this Pelicans basketball team have grown. How you and I have talked about this before, Scotty. You got to defend on a string.
Yeah.
This team, analytics, and you know this, have been a part of the game forever. Now it's just analytics on steroids. Some of those brainiacs want to feel more engaged and important in the game.
Yeah, goodness gracious, you're right.
Let's be honest about it. You can tell what kind of team you have by their body language, Scotty.
Yeah.
Portland body language was that of frustration, was that of anger, whereas the Pels were calm, cool, and collective, and they had a bounce in their step every single game after game one. They have this mindset that no matter who is on the floor, even if they're down, they can put it together and come back. And when have we ever seen the Pelicans basketball team with this edge, if you will?
It's got an edge, man. It all starts with AD. I'm going to say this. It's been mentioned many times, but ESPN.com, 22 experts all picked Portland. And I kept saying I was on a lot of roundtable shows on WWL, and I kept saying this. I don't see any way Portland can win this series. I thought that the Pels should have swept them in the regular season. I didn't think they would do a sweep. I was like Pels in 6. But my point is that I said, who's going to stop AD? Everybody's like, oh, Nurkic is so good. You can throw Ed Davis. I'm like, no. AD is too good for any of these guys. So the only guys I think could even slow him down are guys at length. Gobert, maybe a Capella. I mean, guys that have some length that, they'll frustrate him. But AD's become the best big man and maybe the best player right now in the playoffs in the NBA.
Thank you, Scotty A.
I mean,
because you're still hearing pundits say, well, LeBron James has been the best player in the NBA playoffs. Have you not seen Anthony Davis and the way he impacts both ends of the floor? He leaves his imprint on every aspect of the game. He's even become more vocal, if you notice.
Oh, have I noticed?
Okay.
No, that's been what he's lacked. I mean, now he feels strong with the leadership role.
Exactly. And having a guy like a Rajon Rondo, and I have to keep going back to him.
Yeah.
Scotty A, you know this. Having played the game as a true point guard, we didn't need a point guard who needed to score. We needed a point guard who was going to direct, put guys in position to be effective so they can score.
Give me the ball where it makes me feel comfortable to shoot. That's it. Just put it in my hand. Because you can't. If you got one of those guys, and that's just all you need.
Scotty, and no question, what Anthony has done, and I'm not being a homer at all.
I know you're not. No.
But he leaves his imprint on both ends of the floor. You want to talk about the best defender in the game? The space that he covers is to the point that even if he doesn't block a shot, guys don't even want to go in the lane because of the way he will impact your shot trajectory every time it comes off of your hand. Offensively, he has this mindset now, just get me the ball, and I'm going to take over and dominate.
Isn't it wonderful?
Oh, my
I mean, he did it during the
goodness.
10-game winning streak, and it was like, hey, I'm taking over games. I mean, games that they were down. I remember the Mavericks, the Celtics, they were down. He just took them over, and that whole week, the Laker game, and then he had a lull. Remember, he hurt the ankle against Portland, and then they lost to Cleveland, they lost to OKC, and he wasn't the same guy. And since the OKC game, you're talking 9 straight victories, which has to do with that leadership role, and, of course, Nico's no beard. They're 9-0 without the beard. And that goes to my next question. Because I have to ask, and I wouldn't have asked this before the series because I thought it'd be ludicrous because I'm tired of getting asked myself. But the whole Boogie situation, I'm going to say this. Boogie's obviously a much better player than Nico Mirotic. Let's be honest. He is a much better player, more physically talented, gifted, and all that. But there's no question in my mind that Nico's a better fit for the Pelicans. And I know that they're not the same player, and it's not like you couldn't exist with both. But the way that Alvin Gentry runs a free-flowing offense, and he is now hitting the spot-up jumpers that, quite frankly, before the 9-game winning streak, he was cold as ice for 13 games. But what's your thoughts? I mean, I could go on about this.
Honestly?
Yeah.
They can and they will coexist. The only differentiation going forward when Boogie does come back is preventing Boogie from spending the majority of his time at the top of the key, handling the basketball.
Right, no ISO ball.
That was the only problem there. But you do not throw away a talent like a Boogie, a AD, and a Nikola on that floor with the Drew Holiday and a Rajon Rondo. Scotty,
No, that's the point I tell people before. I said, because listen, if you want to play Houston and Golden State, do you feel better going with that artillery than not that artillery? It's one thing to beat all these other teams, and it's fine.
Right.
But when you have to play the big boys, because you're scaring them because they don't have that.
They don't have it.
Especially Golden State. They don't have one good big man.
They have to adjust their game and adapt to what we do.
Exactly.
Instead of being the team that gets punched and then punching back, we are now the team that are dictating and doing the punching in every aspect. Granted, Nikola and Boogie are 2 different style players. Can they coexist? Absolutely, hands down. Why would you not want that to exist? You can still play fast-paced basketball. It's not like Boogie didn't get up and down the floor. Let's not forget, he lost the weight. He came in great shape. Now, we know how tough it's going to be to come back from an Achilles injury. But I'm pretty sure he's talked to Rudy Gay because look at what Rudy Gay has done for San Antonio since he's been back from his Achilles surgery. Boogie was never a high riser anyway.
No doubt. No.
So that being said, he is still one of the best skilled big men.
And he's still in his prime in the game. By the way, there were reports this morning that he was. Now, who knows how true they are, that the Pels are going to offer something more like, instead of that max deal, 2 to 3 years.
Exactly.
And here's my question, and maybe a little less than max, which, you're trying to fit these pieces of the puzzle with salary cap. It's not easy to do. Boogie, I mean, will he feel disrespected at something like that?
No.
Okay.
Boogie will not feel disrespected. If anything, he's going to embrace it. He understands the fact that, this is a tough injury to come back from. But he has been around this team. Look at how important he has been, not just because he's no longer playing right now, but he's been in L.A. when the team was in L.A. when he's rehabbing. He's back home for the playoffs. He's in the locker room.
He's seeing the chemistry and the
team.
joy together. And this team
Exactly.
eats out together. I've been around NBA teams a lot. I mean, I traveled with one team for several years and doing TNT, you saw them all.
Right.
That's not common. Where all 12 guys eat out on the road and do that, and they do it, and that's just part. And you see the love on the court. I mean, you know, obviously it's easy to be lovey when you're winning, but it's kind of wonderful to watch.
But it's infectious. This team has a camaraderie that we're not accustomed to seeing. You also have to give Dell Demps a lot of credit. You have to give David Booth a lot of credit. You have to give Doc Martin, those front office and personnel guys, and I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
They changed the culture in the locker room. You have guys with a winning culture in Rajon and Ian Clark who came in and said, listen, you want to be great. You've heard AD talk about it so much. Doe tells me every game, go out here and be great. Be great. This is a guy who has won a championship in Boston, who supposedly was a very cantankerous, cancerous mindset. No. Rajon's basketball IQ is
the highest in the league.
The highest in the league.
I agree.
He doesn't get enough credit because what he does is he has held guys in the past accountable. He holds himself accountable. He holds teammates accountable. And he's even gotten into it with coaches. You know why? Because as a coach, I'm going to hold you accountable as well. When you bring in a guy with the winning culture, that becomes infectious. You have the guy who is the franchise, that being AD, the face of this organization, who says, I listen to Doe.
That's something else. That is a huge statement. And by the way, I love the fact, two things that you reminded me when you said that. One is that AD gets calls from Rondo, in the middle of the night, and Rondo's like looking at tape at 2:30 in the morning. He's like, dude, it's 2:30. He goes, no, I got something for us. I see this little weak link in their defense. We can do this. And the other thing is this quote after the series, which I love. Because this guy's been in 100 playoff games on the nose. He's won a championship with the Boston Celtics, and he had the older guys show him the way. The Paul Pierces, the Kevin Garnetts, and, of course, Ray Allen. But he says, I didn't come to New Orleans to win
a
playoff series, or even two.
I came here to win a championship.
Because I saw, people laughed early, but he saw it. He saw AD. He saw Boogie. He knows those guys well from the Kentucky days. He's like, we got the two best big men in the league. How can we not win?
Scotty, let's go back to 3 seasons ago when you and I had this conversation and we talked about what does this team need. You remember you and I talked about that?
I remember vividly.
I need Rajon Rondo. People are like, you got to be out of your mind. I go, there's a reason why I need Rajon Rondo here. And you're seeing why. He is going to make everyone else better. The guy gets into the intricacies of the game. Look at the way he leads and directs. It's to the point that Alvin sits back and listens to Rajon on what needs to be done on the floor. And that's been most impactful for this basketball team. Let's also talk about this real quickly. They're having fun, and not just because they're winning. Even when they had that losing streak, you could see they still had a bounce in their step, like, we're right there. And Scotty, you've been there before. You know when you're right there, you can feel it.
Feel it, man. And we've been there before.
Oh, my goodness.
By the way, the pundits, like I mentioned before, the 22 out of 22 picked the Blazers. It was so funny watching all the sports shows yesterday. I mentioned this in the open. There, you see it right there. Yeah. And that's only showing half of them. But you see, I said, listen, I watched all the shows for this reason yesterday, from First Take around noon all the way to 5 o'clock when it comes
Sports Nation.
Sports Nation, all of them, highly questionable, part of the interruption.
Yes.
And they're all like, not only do we think they can play with the Warriors, they might win the series. All of them said, I'm like, these same people didn't think we could even beat Portland. Now they're talking about beating the greatest team of our era.
Except, and I posted it on Twitter, Facebook, and social media, that being Instagram as well. Scotty A, everyone except David Jacoby is the only one that said the Pels have no chance even without a Steph Curry.
All right.
I posted it.
Well, actually, he's not the. Oh, yeah, Jacoby. I watched that yesterday.
Yes, on Sports Nation.
Yes, I watched that. Yeah, he's the one. And I think most of us feel that the Warriors will probably win, right? But
maybe so.
But when you'll say no chance, because all we need to do is put that up in the bulletin board.
Maybe they will, but here's the thing about it. I think our city would be extremely happy just competing at a high level against the best team in the NBA, Scott.
Speaking of a high level, I saw my hand come up in the picture right there. That means I'm about to shake somebody's hand. Here you go. Shays de la Shays for you, my friend. Enjoy yourself. I know you probably have a beautiful significant other over there that you can take to that restaurant on Carrollton and Maple, right in there between Broadway and Carrollton.
The redheaded tsunami. Can I take her?
Sure, go for it.
Thank you.
All righty. Redhead Tsunami.
She's the greatest, man.
All right, here we go. Hey, we're not done yet. We started with the Pels, but I told you this was also the NFL draft week, and we had the tradition last year. It was Tanzel Smart, who started 8 games with the Rams this year, and Duke Riley, who's with the Falcons. He was a third rounder. Well, this year we have another LSU and Tulane players. It's Will Clapp, 2-time All-SEC player from LSU, and Parry Nickerson. They're coming up next right here on Primetime Sports.
The owners of the Delachaise Wine Bar on St. Charles Avenue have opened up their newest creation uptown on Maple Street called Chez Delachaise, a new local wine bistro featuring a larger menu of small and large plates, a brighter atmosphere, and full table service. Additionally, patrons can enjoy a large patio out front as well as an extensive wine list offering selections from around the world. It's Chez Delachaise, 7708 Maple Street between Carrollton and Broadway.
Rock and roll will never die. It's old New Orleans, my, oh my. Come on, baby, let's go rock and roll at the city lane. All night, let's roll, let's rock and roll. Baby, do the rock and roll. At Mid-City Lane's the home of rock and roll.
Cayman is an all-natural alligator oil that treats anything concerning your skin from head to toe. Cayman oil is antibacterial, antifungal, anti-inflammatory, and helps with ailments, including burns, severe acne, athlete's foot and toe fungus. Cayman oil also helps with everyday issues such as healing cuts and scrapes, as well as spider and mosquito bites. It also does wonders quickly clearing up scars, dry scalp, psoriasis, and eczema. And it's made right here in Louisiana. More information is available online at CaymanOil.com or Amazon.com. Hey, welcome back to Primetime Sports. I want to thank Dino Hanson with that great Pels recap and kind of a preview for next round against the Golden State Warriors. And I want to tell you that these next 2 segments is becoming a tradition. Last year, we had Duke Riley from the LSU Tigers on the week. He was drafted by the Falcons, and Tanzel Smart was also on that same show, the great Tulane defensive lineman who started half the season for the Los Angeles Rams. Well, this year, we're doing it again. We have Will Clapp coming up right now and Parry Nickerson next. But first, let me tell you a little bit about Clapp. His dad was a superstar player for the LSU Tigers, started 30 games there. His dad played at Brother Martin, was a great player there as well. Well, Will is following in Dad's footsteps. He played at Brother Martin, had a bunch of accolades, went up to LSU. 2-time All-SEC offensive lineman, playing all across the line. He played left guard, right guard, and center his senior year. And he's also a guy that is going to be drafted very high this week in the NFL draft. And it's going to be a lot of fun to catch up with him and talk about his future in the NFL. What's up, my friend? Will Clapp.
How's it going? Thank you for having me.
I'm so fired up to hear. I got to say the first thing, your dad started 30 games for the LSU Tigers, and you started 36. So do you and your dad have a little battle going in? Who's going to be the better LSU player?
We always talked about who would be the better LSU player. We always said, hey, when you start 30 games, talk to me.
Talk to me. All right.
When I hit 30, I made a big deal about it in the media and let everybody know I finally passed them up.
And you gave him a collect call, I hope, and said, hey, I got you, Pops. Yeah, but they talk about your dad because, listen, you're actually the 4th father-son combo we've had on this show. We had the Maudis, Michael Maudis playing with the Saints right now, and his dad. We've had Herb Tyler and his dad, and we've had more than that. But what would you learn from your dad that's suiting you well right now in your football career?
He always just raised us real tough. It was, growing up at the house, we had 4 boys. I mean, it was rough, and he encouraged it. I mean, we'd always fight on the floor, and he'd just antagonize all of us, and it was just, it was a real knockdown fight every night.
Are you the oldest?
I'm the oldest of 4 boys.
You're the oldest of 4 boys. Now, what was it like on a typical night at dinner? Because I have boys myself, and I don't have 4 that y'all size that play football. I mean, you guys have to eat them out of house and home.
Yeah, we were doing 12 gallons of milk a week when we were
12 a
young.
week.
It was
12 a week.
Yeah, I mean, Mom would go to the grocery store and everything was wiped out in an hour.
That's amazing. Hey, when you went to Brother Martin, did you know you were going to go to LSU? I mean, was this something or did you do the whole recruiting process, and did you keep an open mind about it?
I tried keeping an open mind. I mean, my dad encouraged me to actually go visit Alabama, visit LSU. I mean, those were really the only two I paid interest to. And, we made the trips. I visited Alabama, 2 or 3 times. But I always knew I wanted to be a Tiger. It was, where I wanted to be.
I remember now that you say that, some recruiting gurus were saying, oh, my goodness, looks like Alabama's going to steal, one of LSU's own away. And I'm like, no way, Tommy, get to work on your son. When it came down to nuts and bolts, did Dad have anything to say about this?
No, I mean, he really let me make my decision. It came down to, I love the Tigers too much. It was too much fun. I mean, I went there, I played from my home state. All my friends from high school went there, and then I made some of my best friends in life on the team.
So who are some of those?
I lived with KJ Malone a lot of my career. Ethan Posick, they just had a big impact in my life. And then a few of my friends that were probably not big as names or walk-ons, but like Alex Jeremy and Justin McCush, and we all lived together, and it was a great time.
Well, they just got some pub. So you can tell them to turn it on at 7 o'clock. CST up there. Hey, by the way, KJ Malone, obviously the son of the great Carl Malone. Carl was on our show about 6, 7, 8 months ago. There he is right there with his son. Talk about KJ, though. I mean, and your friendship and him possibly on the next level.
Yeah, I mean, that's honestly my best friend. We just actually moved out of our college apartment yesterday, and it was weird because we've been living together for so long, and that's my best friend. And, I think him at the next level, he's such a great athlete. He can legit play all 5 positions. And that's what's going to give him, a lot of versatility in that league. And I think he'll get drafted off of that.
Well, let's go there with you, because you did start 3 different seasons at 3 different positions, and you basically started every game. What's the difference of playing on either side of the guard? And then obviously center is a whole different animal itself. But kind of explain that to people that don't know what an offensive lineman generally does.
Yeah, I mean, so when you're flipping sides each year, it's kind of hard because you start looking at a play as that front side and back side, but you got to look at it as really going left and right. You really think, oh well, you're going to think left and right, but you start just thinking if I'm at right guard, I'm thinking everything's going right. But when you switch, kind of mess with your mind. But this year I was able to go to center and had to branch out my mind with football, and I got a much better football IQ. What
is center? I mean, because that is kind of like the guy that barks everything out, at least on some teams. I watch the Saints. Max Unger does it. Did you watch any of these pros and see how they did it? I mean, what is it like playing that? Because you're kind of the general of the offensive line.
Well, I had a pretty easy transition. I got to play guard next to Ethan for so many years.
Yeah.
And, watching him do it, I was able to, kind of pick up bits and pieces from him and learn from him. And then when I got there this year, I was able to, just kind of keep it going, use stuff that he taught me. And then obviously you watch guys like Max Unger, Travis Frederick, some of those top centers in the league.
You have had the honor of paving the way for 2 of the greatest running backs in LSU history. Let's think about this. I mean, they've had some great running backs. I mean, great ones. Your dad played with a great tandem, and obviously Gary James and, of course, Dalton Hilliard, who everybody here in New Orleans loves because of the Saints. But you have Leonard Fournette, who was the #1 recruit coming out of the country, still top 5 pick in the draft, and Darius Geis, who I assume should be a first-rounder. If he's not, people are crazy. 2 different styles, but talk about blocking and being the guy that's paving the way for these 2.
Those 2 guys made us look a lot better than we actually were as an O-line. I mean, there was times where we didn't touch anybody, and Leonard or Darius breaks it for 30, 40 yards.
We didn't touch anybody. Yeah. They just took off.
Yeah, the best feeling in the world is when you open that hole and you'd see Leonard or Darius just run right by, and you're like, knowing that
what he's doing right there,
right there,
and that's when he got 275, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a feeling you knew, like right there when he crossed and I saw him in my peripheral vision. You're like, wow, he's touchdown. I mean, you could start walking to the sideline.
Well, these guys set records. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, they had a record that stood for years and years at 250, most in a single game. Fournette broke that, and then Geis broke his record. So
yeah, a few weeks later.
I mean, yeah, these guys are setting records in the same season. I mean, that's kind of crazy, particularly when you had them going at the same time. As far as LSU goes, I want to know about your experience there. I'm an alum. I mean, I love Tulane as well. I grew up a Tulane fan, but I went to LSU and fell in love with it and still am. But your experience as a Tiger in your 4 years there, you redshirted your first year and your 3 years of playing.
Honestly, it was, best time of my life. I mean, you probably remember college the same way. It's a fun 4 years. You know, you go there, you're 18, you're a kid, you really don't know how to even wash your clothes yet. At least I didn't. And you know, I kind of left there. I mean, Coach Miles and Coach O kind of, you know, showed us how to be men, and I grew up a lot. You know, made those best friends that, you know, have my back for life.
I see Coach O in this picture there. I got to go there next because you've had two very colorful coaches. Les Miles, I've gotten to know a lot more this year. He worked on our crew at Fox, and he's colorful to say the least. You never know what's going to come out of his mouth, and I love him. But what is it like playing for Miles and then transition that to what it's like playing for Coach O at Rajon?
You know, obviously, you know, Coach Miles is an offensive-minded coach. You know, his practices, you know, it was tough. You know, he wanted you to be the toughest guy on the field, and you know, it worked for us. I mean, we would go into teams, and we knew that we were tougher than them, and we had scrimmages that were, you know, 3 hours long, and you know, playing the heat. So one year we played Auburn. You know, they came in, they weren't ready for us, and we thought it was a nice, cool day. It was like 100 degrees in the field.
We thought it was cool.
I mean, Coach
at
Miles,
100.
yeah, he made us tough players. Coach Orgeron, he kind of has that Pete Carroll philosophy. You know, you get in, you get out. You know, practices are shorter, but they're still high tempo, lots of reps. So it was two different philosophies, but I think both worked for us. And you know, I enjoyed my time with both of them.
Both good guys. But you were recruited, like obviously it was Saban versus Miles. Saban was over at Alabama, Miles at LSU. What was the difference of those two guys recruiting you? Because I know the other coaches generally do most of the recruiting, and the head coaches kind of come in and close the deal, right? But what is it like with you know, that recruiting time with them two?
Well, Coach Miles, obviously, he's you know, he's a happy person. He's just always joking around. He's putting his arm around you. He's really loving life. When I was with Coach Saban, I mean, he was a great coach. He's very businesslike. He was always, you know, this is what we expect from you. This is how it's going to happen. And when you come here, we expect you to perform. And we're going to win with you. And you know, both of them had their, you know, they all had their way of, you know, getting you to come. And you know, I just chose, you know, I like Coach Miles just because, you know, he had an offensive line background. He knew how to, you know, develop guys. Hey
man, the combine always is interesting. You never know what they're going to ask you. It's some random stuff. Sometimes in Darius Geis's situation, it got a little too personal. But did you have any experience like that? What were some of the questions you got?
I didn't really get asked anything like that crazy, but they would ask you like all these, like, you know, I guess like standard IQ questions. Like,
right.
It would be like, all right, we need, one team asked me, I want you to start at 0, and then you're going to add 1, then add 3, and just continue the cycle. So you had to go like 1, 4, 5. I mean, it was.
It's like a mini IQ test.
And I went into the like the 80s. I mean, I just sitting there in front of
Brother Martin representing Crusaders.
Yeah, the ownership, the GM, the head coach, all just staring at me. I'm just counting numbers out. I'm like,
That's not a bad thing. Hey, by the way, where do you think you're going to go? I mean, listen, I know you're hearing a lot of things from a lot of people. Sometimes agents will tell you what you want to hear, but where in your mind are you being ready to go?
You know, I think best case scenario for me is you know, 3rd round, and then obviously I can go in that 4 to 5 range as well. So, you know, hoping to I just want to get drafted in the right spot where I can make a good career.
LSU has a big tradition of great offensive linemen in the league. I mean, gosh, Whitworth seems like he's been playing for years. I mean, he's with Cincinnati now with the Rams. But they're scattered all around the league, so that's got to make you feel good. I mean, Trey Turner started immediately with the Carolina Panthers, and I think he was probably leaving as you were coming in right around that time. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the lineage of LSU's got to give you a little bit of advantage because they know that they're usually well-trained.
I mean, we're putting out tough linemen, and obviously we have, you know, Trey, we have Ethan, Vidal Alexander, Whitworth. I mean, all these guys are coming out and they're playing really well. And it just shows, you know, LSU puts out these tough dudes that, you know, are going to play a long time in the league.
Well, we have had the tradition. We started a couple of years ago where the guys come on draft week and then, you know, bring them back the next year. So I'd love to see you back after your rookie season, sometime before you have to go back and do your OTAs and stuff. And hopefully we'll do it again.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
So good to see you, man. And like I said, the first time an LSU father and son combo has been captain of LSU's football team, and that's an honor. And to have, I know Tommy's got to feel some pride in that the son not only followed his footsteps, but got the same kind of leadership role. So congratulations to that. And because of that, I'm going to throw your dad a gift certificate too. So here's one, and I'll get another one for you, but that's for Shays Delashays. And we got to have you sign the ball. That is a tradition. We'll get you one right here that's not so filled up. And give us one, Will Clapp. There's your dad right there. Maybe right on the LSU so we can see it in the future. What a nice young man, and I can promise this guy's work ethic and his talent, he is going to have a long NFL career, and I'll be one of his biggest fans. So I want to thank him. Hey, coming up next, we're not done yet. We have another fine young man who happens to be a second-team All-American according to Sports Illustrated. His name is Parry Nickerson from the Tulane Green Wave, and he's coming up next right here on Primetime Sports. Hey, welcome back to Primetime Sports. I got to thank my man Will Clapp, and good luck in his future, the former LSU star, and also Dino Hanson. The playoffs, the Pels are rolling, and I'm sure we're going to keep talking in the upcoming weeks when they face the probable opponent, the Warriors. But right now, hey, you remember last year we brought Tanzel Smart. We brought him back just a couple weeks ago. Talked about his rookie year with the Rams, and hopefully we'll be doing the same thing with my next guest next year, because there's no doubt he's going to be drafted. Hey, this guy is second in Tulane's history in interceptions with 16. He's third in pass breakups at 31. Freshman All-American. And by the way, he was just a second-team All-American with Sports Illustrated. Yeah, the guy can play, and he can play well. And Tulane has had a lot of good defensive backs in the last several years. But he might be at the top of the list, and his name is Parry Nickerson. And welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are you for having me?
I'm doing
Parry
great.
Nickerson, West Jeff Buck, Buccaneer Pride, obviously Tulane. And how you doing? I mean, talk about your progression.
Man, I'm doing great. You know, I'm just steady working, improving, just getting ready for this draft.
Tell me what that's like. I mean, because listen, I mean, you work your whole life, you dream. I'm assuming most kids that play football dream about being in the NFL. You're only 2-3 days away. I mean, how crazy is this?
Yeah, I mean, it feels good to see all the hard work paying off. You know, just been a lifetime goal of mine since I was young, since I started playing football. I always had that passion for the game, and just to, you know, be in this situation, it's a blessing.
I'm curious, because I didn't even think about this till just now, but I had Lorenzo Doss, former St. Aug and Tulane defensive back, and he was at the Broncos the year they won the Super Bowl. So he had a ring, and he came back and visited the show. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, you go from Tulane to having a Super Bowl ring. Are you getting any advice from anybody about the NFL, guys like him?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always reaching out to those guys I played with that's in the NFL, Lorenzo Doss, Robert Kelly, Jordan Sullen. I mean, it's a number of guys, you know, I have.
I know
good
Jordan
contact
Sullen.
with.
He's a great dude.
Yeah, he's a great person.
Yeah, he really is. Hey, let's talk about your going to Tulane, because I think that's the first step. You went to West Jeff, obviously best bank over there. What made you decide on the Green Wave? Because Curtis Johnson was the coach that recruited you.
Yeah, I actually went to their football camp and did it. I ran a nice 40 there, and they saw the speed, and you know, I received the offer, and that was one of my first offers. And it's close to home, and my family members, they get to see me play at the next level.
Yeah, sure.
But out of those colleges I had was a late off from Cincinnati and from McNeese. So Tulane, I know when they offered me, you know, I just decided to go with them because they have a great academic program as well.
What they say, it's not a 4-year degree. It's not a 4 years. It's a 40-year degree.
Yes.
Yeah, Tulane,
yes.
I mean, listen, that is a great spiel, and it's true. One of the best academic schools, not just in the South, but in the country. Hey, by the way, you mentioned that fast time. I got to tell everybody out there. I forgot to say it just now. By the way, the NFL Combine is the greatest players going to the next level. And this man sitting next to me ran tied for the fastest time at the Combine, 4.3. Remarkable. I guess when you were there, you probably opened a few people's eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of people didn't expect me to run that fast, but you know, I knew what I could do, and I just had faith in myself.
But the fastest, that's the thing. I mean, you're fast, right? But you ran faster than everybody else there. I mean, that's almost unbelievable, man.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great feeling, running that fast.
That's a great. So when you saw the score, when you saw the 4-3 come up, what was your first thought? I mean, were you just like, oh, thank goodness, or were you like, yeah, I knew I had that?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much knew, I was gonna run that fast. I always been fast, but with a little training, sharpening up the technique, I knew it'd be faster.
What separates you from other DBs and corners in particular? Because, I mean, you also, I watched some Tulane games, and usually I'm on the road working my games, but I watch tape a lot. And you're not scared to get up in somebody's face. You jam well. You're very physical for a guy your size. But what do you think you do best?
I think I'm more consistent. I'm a consistent lockdown playmaker, and I feel like consistency is key at the next level. You can't have no up and downs. You got to be consistently improving, and stand sharp on your game.
Hey, by the way, and you have stayed sharp in your game, but by the way, at the Combine, I mean, we always hear about the crazy questions people ask. Tanner Lee was on the show last week. He's a former Tulane quarterback, who your teammate, and then he went to Nebraska. But he was telling some funny questions. What were some of the ones out of the ordinary that you might have gotten?
I mean, I didn't really get no funny questions. It was all about just my career and about the person I am beyond football and outside of Tulane. Yeah,
what did they ask Tanner? They said, hey, what kind of beer do you drink when you go out? And I said, I hope you told him milk. Yes, I ordered milk. No, did they ask you? They didn't ask you anything like that either?
No crazy questions.
All right, as far as your coaches, because you've had two very distinct head coaches,
right,
and I love them both. I really do. I've gotten to know both pretty well. Curtis Johnson, who obviously is a local guy, obviously from the river parishes, coached the Saints for many years, has a Super Bowl ring as a wide receiver coach, and then he became Tulane's head coach. Gregarious, fun, but can be tough at times. And then Willie Fritz, who is a totally different style offense. Curtis Johnson brought the New Orleans Saints Sean Payton offense. He wanted to open it up, pro style. Well, this is a very consistent offense that he runs, and it's obviously a lot of running, a lot of options, a lot of different looks they give you, three backfields and stuff like that. What do you see between the two?
I think I learned a lot from both coaching staff. Like you said, Coach Curtis, he had more of that pro style, practice. So with that, I took as if I was like in the NFL, on the NFL team.
And you're defending an NFL offense, right?
Right. And with Coach Fritz, I think he implemented more of the fundamentals of the game, and that what made it, good and help other players and myself, improving on things I needed to improve on.
I mean, think about this. You started 46 games in your career. I mean, that's just about every single game that they ever played. I mean, usually sometimes, especially because that time they had a crowded defensive backfield. I mean, it wasn't like, they were, you were just stepping in to be their savior. They were pretty good. That's one thing. I remember Tulane, they were always up there as far as defense goes, particularly in deep interceptions and stuff. What was it like, though? I mean, coming in with those guys that were Ladarian Monroe's and all the other ones, Lorenzo Doss, that were already established.
Yeah, it was great. My redshirt freshman year, we went to the New Orleans Bowl, but it was a great experience playing with those guys. I learned a lot from those guys. I took something from everybody's book. So just learning from those guys and passing it on. That's the tradition.
I mean, did you have any thought coming out of West Jeff that you'd be starting immediately and you would never see the bench again? I mean, ever?
I mean, coming out of West Jeff, I feel like I had a good chance of starting. Just a matter of time.
All right, let's talk about the interest teams have shown in you. Obviously, when you run that fast, you're going to get interest, but your play speaks for itself. It's not like you're just an Olympic sprinter coming out there, and sometimes they try people out that are sprinters just to see if they can play football.
Yeah.
You play football. You had 16 picks in a college game. That's a ton in your career. Right. What teams are interested in you that have shown you interest? I mean, are you maybe places you visited?
Yeah, I talked to a lot of teams. I had went to visits to Oakland Raiders, the Houston Texans, New York Jets, and Arizona Cardinals. But
free trips and free food.
Free trips and free food. That was the best part. I was eating good every trip.
I was about to say, and I'm sure it's not Burger King. I mean, they're treating you right. What was the best meal you had out there? In what city?
I had 2 of the same entrees of steak and potatoes.
Oh, yeah, 2.
2.
Yeah, one, and then you bring me my next one when I'm done. And what town was that in?
That was in Houston.
Oh,
I had
Houston.
it in Houston, and I had,
lots of big cows in Houston. You probably had a good steak.
Well.
Oh, you had steak there too?
Right.
So I
Most
guess
of
we
my
have,
trips I had steaks.
So we have seafood down here, so you didn't need any of that.
No, I'm actually allergic to
shellfish?
seafood and shellfish, yeah.
All right, good. No lobster. Hey, cancel that lobster order in the back after this. Hey, what was New York like? I mean, I know the where they play is actually in New Jersey, but what was it like over there?
It was great. I mean, I had time to go explore the city, and I never seen. That was my first time up there. So
Isn't
I never
it unbelievable?
Yeah, it's unbelievably big.
Yes.
So I never experienced nothing like that. Just to go out and just sightsee. It was a great feeling.
Well, being from New Orleans, which I am as well, my brother lived in New York for many years. My first time, I remember, I was about your age, and I'm like, oh my goodness, because we have Canal Street, we have Poydras in New Orleans. They have like 200 of those. I mean, it's like, goes on and on. And it is a place where players love to play, and then if you're losing, it's not fun to be over there. But who do you think's showing you the most interest out of these? And you know what, wherever you think you're going to get drafted, it never happens. It ends up being somebody that ends up being totally different.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a big mystery at this time. I know a lot of teams been reaching out to me, so it'd probably be a team that didn't reach out to me that can give me a call.
It seems like that usually happens that way. By the way, when you see stuff like this, you see the screen. I mean, when they put, this is this past season, and that this might not even been when the season was fully over, but they're talking about your passer rating, lowest among draft eligible, obviously American Athletic Conference cornerbacks. What do you think, man? Because when you measure up, I mean, you're right there, Minkah Fitzpatrick, who people are talking about being a lottery pick, top 15 type pick. I mean, they're talking about you like that.
I mean, it's a great feeling. I mean, whoever decides to give me that phone call is gonna have a heck of a player. That's what I feel.
Is that what you tell them?
Yeah, they should know.
So what are your plans on draft night? I'm curious. I mean, obviously, it's 3 days, so it's anticlimactic. But like, how are you going to watch those 3 days?
I'll be spending time with my family at my mom's house. So, I mean, all my family members will be over, and I'll just be waiting for that phone call. I know she's probably going to cook some food, so.
You got a little food for you?
Yeah.
It's going to be a big event. You have relatives coming over?
Yeah, I have relatives and a couple of friends coming over, so I'm looking forward to that.
Hey, by the way, is there any hope that maybe the hometown Saints might take you? I mean, they always have cornerback issues. I know they brought a couple in, but would that be a dream come true?
Curtis Johnson,
That's right.
He knows. So
Curtis Johnson knows all about you.
I wouldn't be surprised.
How fun would that be, man?
That would be fun. My family members right there, right across the river. Get to drive right across the river and come see me play in the Superdome. So.
Well, I'll cross my fingers for that. One last thing, I got to mention this. Tulane's such a great university. In memory of your time there, what do you think about the Tulane experience and what it's done for you?
It's a great experience. Tulane, I feel like, molded me into this great person I am today. It shows me the in and outs of school and football, and just what to expect after football. And for me, I wanted to get my degree and graduate from Tulane.
Are you graduating?
Yeah, I graduated last year. So
my goodness.
With that degree, it carries a lot of weight. So my time after football, I'll be in pretty good shape.
Look at you. You already got the degree. Was that before the season started?
Yeah, that was in May 2017.
Because you redshirted.
Right.
All right, here, we have a little something to tide you over, get you a little meal.
Okay.
That's
Appreciate
over at Shays Della Shays. And we have a tradition here on the show. We sign the balls and the helmets. You guys have a helmet. Give me a nice Parry Nickerson. And ain't that signature something I can read and tell who the name is in about 3 years? I'm like, who is this? I've got a few of those. Not quite like Bobby Hebert, where you can still see it from like 20 miles away. Bobby, right there. But I appreciate you, Parry. Thank you so much. And thank everybody else. I want to thank Will Clapp for coming on the show. And, of course, my man, Dino Hanson. And we're going to have next week, we're going to continue doing this. It's going to be more and more players coming in, more Saints players coming in. It's going to be fun. The Pelicans, enjoy the ride. You have Jazz Fest this weekend. You have the NFL Draft this weekend. You have the Zurich Classic this weekend. And you have the Pels being in the Second round of the playoffs for the first time in 10 years. It's a good time to be in New Orleans. We'll see you next week on Primetime Sports.